Hi, my name is Shari Berman, and for the last 4 years I've been involved in the Adult Patient Family Advisory Council at Dana-Farber. 3 of those I served as co-chair and now am a senior member of the council. I am a 2-time cancer survivor. When I was 25 years old, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease about 3 days after I got back from my honeymoon. And it was really a shock because I was young, I was healthy, I was physically fit, and it was something that I was absolutely out of the blue. I went through an intense regimen of 6 months of pretty intense chemotherapy and then 5 weeks of radiation. And it took me a while to kind of feel better and back to myself. And after 5 years, I was able to become pregnant with my first child and then my second child, and really thought that cancer was going to be just something that I could put behind me. When my boys were 1 and 3, and I was about 8 years out, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, which they felt most likely was a result of the treatment that I received, the radiation from the Hodgkin's treatment. And so I embarked once again on the cancer journey and had surgery, reconstruction, and then another 6 months of chemotherapy. This time I had a family to think about as well. And in all that time I was working full-time, and when I was several years out of treatment, I decided to leave my job to spend more time with my children. And shortly after that, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And she was in a different state, and so I really became her advocate and helped her to maneuver through the system because I had so much experience myself. And through that process, I started to get really frustrated because I felt that she really wasn't being treated with respect and the way that she should be treated, and she was really sort of just accepting everything as is. And so I started to really think about getting a little bit more involved in patient advocacy work, and understood that now I had both the perspective of a patient and as a family member slash caregiver, which really gave me a unique perspective. And so after her death, I really decided that I wanted to spend my time doing some patient advocacy work. And so I started to get more involved at Dana-Farber. One of the activities that comes to mind as something that patients really had input in was the new Yawkey Center for Cancer Care, which was a building that was built really for patient care. And the patients, as well as council members, really had an input in every single part of that building's development, from the paint on the walls, to the color of the carpet on the floors, to having input on what types of chemotherapy chairs would be most comfortable, to the size of the waiting rooms that would be most pleasant for patients. In addition, patients gave their feedback about wanting to hear music, and so there's a piano player that will play from time to time, as well as developing a healing garden, which is a special place where there are plants and live growing things that really are very calming to patients who have a little bit of time in between appointments. And another area of input was the cafeteria, because prior to the new building, the cafeteria was actually in the basement with no windows, and so there was a lot of thought about bringing light in and making the environment something that was much more pleasant for patients and for their families. And patients also got involved very much in the process of how to do things, meaning how to check in when you have your appointment and make that a smooth process, and how to have your blood drawn. And there was actually a separate unit on a separate floor for blood draws. And so they were very involved in sort of the process flow of the patient experience as well. So it's something that we're all very proud of, and something that we all look at and remember when we walk into that building and feel like it's a really special place for patients, and we really had sort of our say in what would make our experience most pleasant.